Subscribers, welcome to the battle between the Inquisition and forces of Khorne. Let's have a look and see at the deployment phase. So we've seen the storyline from last week. We know what's happened. This is where it's all just about the battle's about to begin. So we've got the Inquisition forces over here. We've got Bulgrins ready to lead the charge. We've got the Inquisitors here. Now this Inquisitor here is just a random one, but the other two character models, Gabriel and Valencia, are going to run off the board, and then the battle's about to commence. So this is just really the setup. This is some hazardous terrain here. There's a giant pit, which who knows what's at the bottom of that. You'll have to continue watching next week for what happens there. But this is really the deployment phase. So everyone's just tucked away in this city, this town here, ready to advance. We've got a few deep striking units up top here. Now all those zombies are not in the battle. They were the zombies that got taken out on that bridge there. So they're just to be removed. We've got a Greater Demon of Khorne there and a Dread Knight there ready to come on the board at a later stage. Over this side we've got the forces of Khorne, and we can see multiple units, lots of Goliath Necromunda models hiding in there. We've got some a Lord riding a I can't remember the name now. So a Chaos Mount, I suppose you could call it. And we've got a Chaos Spawn, Blood Slaughterer, and we've got a few objectives. We've got one objective over here, and another one over here. Now, at this stage of filming this, I haven't actually worked out how that interacts with the story, if it interacts at all. But you know, the victor will be determined by number of models on the board at the end, together with who holds these objectives. So that's how it's structured for this battle. We will wait and see what comes out of it. Right, here we are on the first half of turn 2, and we've seen over this side a Dread Knight deep strike behind that rock just there, and it turned and fired and took out two cultists which were trying to protect that objective there. So the plan is the Dread Knights to come out and contest that objective, and no doubt try and get some support from up the board somewhere as the battle progresses. Over this side we've had the Bulgrins and the Priest unit there converge on this objective and try and secure that. So yeah, at the moment they're trying to make a play for both objectives. Everyone else has basically walked across the board, or sort of ran across the board to try and get into some sort of cover or range. We had the Inquisitor and the Servitors fire and try and take out the Chaos Lord there, except that didn't happen. So that was the only firing in the turn. So we really only had two casualties from the cultists over there, which is those guys over there, and that's the end of the turn. So we've got the second half of turn 2 coming up, and there's going to be a lot of casualties coming up shortly. So I'll wait and see. Okay, we're on the second half of turn 2, where Chaos have had their chance to respond. Let's have a look. So we've seen this unit of cultists over here reinforce this objective and followed up by the Blood Slaughterer. They did fire a shot at the Dread Knight there, but didn't do any damage. They really probably want to try and lure this guy out into here and probably have the blood slaughter do some damage. We'll wait and see. We had this unit of cultists come from here, move up. They didn't get a shot off, but they're trying to get into a good position to maybe head off those Pentanet engines as they come in. Not that they'll be able to do too much. We had these cultists wearing executioner masks fire into the Inquisition over there and take out 2 casualties. The rest of all this mob basically just moved up. So we had the Chaos Lord, mounted Chaos Lord, take a position on the bridge there, which is fairly heavily fortified. Good heavy cover there for him. And everyone else didn't do anything. We did have the cultists here fire a shot at the Ogrins there, but that didn't do much. They're trying to get this cannon in place so I can do some damage, which should come up in the next turn or so. So not a lot of casualties. We had basically just 2 Inquisition casualties just there this turn, and we're up to first half of turn 3 next for the Inquisition. We'll see what happens. Okay, here are the casualties for the first half of turn 3. Chaos Lord's been taken out. Couple of cultists here. Actually, we've got they're all the rest of cultists, and they come from different groups. So let's have a look at the board. And over this side, we've seen the Dreadnought stay behind cover here and just fire into the cultists over here. I think that's not really a strategic move to not really jump in and assault that, because it'll probably get ripped off him by someone else at this stage, maybe. So he's just biding his time just there and not really threatened too much until that blood slaughterer probably steps in, but pretty safe at the moment. We've had the Pentanet engines move forward and try and get into assault range with those cultists there. They couldn't really get into range, but they will cause some havoc shortly. We had this group of henchmen there come up and fire into the cultists here, and also behind them there's a group of close combat unit. There's a close combat unit at the back there, which is probably using these guys as cover to come in and cause some mayhem in close range. So moving around this side of the table, we've had the Borgrins fire and take out 1 cultist there, and we had the priest move around this objective and really take a defensive position. A lot of these guys here, they've all got shields. So, you've got the slab shields here with the Borgrins. They're really trying to create a defensive presence around that objective. So that's going to be pretty hard for these guys to dislodge. They do have that cannon of Khorne there, so who knows how that's going to roll out. There was the Chaos Lord mounted there, but everyone here basically, this unit here, the Scions and the Servitors and the Jokero, whatever it's called, fired their heavy weapons and took him out. Over here we've got this unit here is not really doing anything at this stage. They're all armed with shields, so they're really trying to take a defensive position, but they're in no man's land at the moment. I'm not sure what they're going to do, but I'm expecting probably a deep striking Greater Demon, this one here, to make a presence fairly shortly. I don't know where he's going to turn out yet. I'll have to wait and see, but he's probably going to try and dislodge this objective here and try and cause some mayhem there. So that's the end of, that's the end of first half of turn 3. We'll see what Chaos can do in response. Right, here we go, at the end of turn 3. Chaos have had their turn and the board's changed around a little bit. So let's have a look and see what's happened. Over this side, we had this unit of cultists here that were sitting behind this barricade there, but they really couldn't do a lot of damage to the pentanet engines charging forward, ready to take them out. So they moved back and tried to consolidate this position and tried to fire at the dreadnought still hiding behind here, just to try and keep hold of that objective. The Blood Slaughterer was out of charge range and decided to go up and really act as a decoy for the pentanet engines, try and take those guys out. We had the Chaos Lord on the mount run across this way along with the Beastmen. Beastmen, by the way, pretty cool. We had the Executioner style Chaos Cultists not fire but take this position in this trench here, on the bridge. Same with these cultists over here, just trying to get a strong fortified position here ready to take out what comes this way. We had two Bullgrins get destroyed, one by the Cannon of Khorne and the other by the combined fire from two groups of cultists. Chaos Spawn still hiding in the background. Over this side we've seen a deep striking Chaos Greater Demon, and I don't know why. I think these guys are just for a bit of fluff, just staying with them because they were part of this army, but they're basically ready for attack, ready to attack. So really the Inquisition on this side of the table are in a whole heap of strife. We've got a Greater Demon here and just a whole heap of nothing here. There's some heavy weapons sitting in the middle here ready to, that could probably do some damage, being the Jakero and a couple of servitors with heavy plasma cannons. But over this side of the board, it's probably the Inquisition have got the upper hand, because we've got the power of the pentanet engines, and also the Dreadnought could really probably take this part. So fairly evenly weighted. You might think that Chaos might have the upper hand, but we'll see how it pans out. We've got the first half of turn 4 coming up. Here we go, first half of turn 4. Let's have a look. Well, it's all happening all over the board at the moment. We've got a lot of casualties up here. I'll run through what has happened this turn. So it's the Inquisition's turn, and the Dreadnought here has finally come out behind its hiding place after seeing that the Blood Slaughterer has gone up this way. So it's going to take on these two groups of cultists here and here and try and disrupt this objective here. It took out a couple of cultists on the way through. Can't quite get into melee range, but that will soon happen, possibly turn 5. Over here we had the pentanet engines come round and take on the Blood Slaughterer, and one of the engines died, was defeated, whatever. Over here we had this group of the Inquisition, this unit from the Inquisition, shoot in at these cultists here and take out a couple, and the melee combat unit is snuck out from round the back there and is trying to get into hand-to-hand range there. Try and dislodge these cultists from this heavily fortified bridge. So they've got that well and truly secured, and that's probably giving them the upper hand at the moment. Over this way we had the Bullgrin and the Priest unit assault this unit of cultists and take quite a few of them out. But they're looking pretty exposed there with cultists and spawn and all sorts of stuff around them. And this unit which have bolters and sort of a ranged unit there have secured this objective here. So trying to secure that objective. The one over that side is looking pretty contested as well. Over this side we've had the Inquisitor shoot and try and take out the Greater Demon, or at least wound it. We also had the Scions try and do the same from that alleyway there, just through, try and kill that. And also the this unit here with Shield's defensive unit, trying to get in and slow down this Bloodthirster, because if it can get into hand-to-hand combat, it might slow it down somewhat, because it can really rip through a lot of these units here. So they'll probably try and bog that thing down as much as they possibly can. That side of the table looks like it's probably in Chaos's favour, even though there's a lot more Inquisition models. Bloodthirst is very threatening. Over this side looks pretty contested. Same through the middle. And look, I couldn't really say which way this is going to go. I suppose we'll wait and see. Second half of turn 4 coming up. Here we are on the second half of turn 4, and come and have a look at this. These are all the casualties that we've had this half turn. Lots. A bit hard to see, a bit dark. But there you go. Let's have a look on the board. So it's Chaos's turn. We'll start with the Bloodthirster. He was sitting there and he just couldn't help resist but charge into that group, the unit with all the shields, and took out about half of them. Those two characters that were with the Bloodthirster, they were just there for fluff, I suppose. So I put them down as casualties, but look, they were just there for the looks. Anyway, moving off this way, we had this unit of cultists come out of the trench there and fire into this unit here and take out a couple. We had the Cannon of Khorne take out some as well, so this is looking pretty contested at this stage. Who knows what's going to happen there. The Chaos Spawn and the rest of the cultists came charging into here, and this unit held up pretty well. All these warriors with their shields, and the Bulgrin with his shield sort of holding the tide at bay. That was pretty well evenly split, that one. We had this unit of cultists charge into the hand-to-hand, the melee unit that was there. Now that's gone, but they lost quite a few casualties in the process of that. So they're still in that fortified position, but we'll see what happens with it. Over this side we had the Chaos Lord charge in and help the Bloodslaughterer, which was in combat with the Penitent engines. We lost one Penitent engine and we lost the Bloodslaughterer, so that's a standoff over there. This side, over here, we've seen there was a unit of Beastmen that was back here. They moved up to try and secure that position, but left the rest of the cultists to try and charge in and delay the Dreadnought there, which is managed to smash a few of those guys away. So the Chaos forces have the numbers on this objective, but there's a Dreadnought there which is going to cause some mayhem, but not invincible, but pretty tough to beat. So that's what we have at the end of turn 4. Spot fires all over the place, pretty evenly balanced. We'll wait and see what turn 5 brings us. Right, here we are on the first half of turn 5, and we'll see what the Inquisition's done. We had the Dreadnought defeat a whole heap of cultists there, and they were just broke and were completely defeated. Likewise up here, the Penitent engine defeated the mounted Chaos Lord. As we move across the board, we see this group of cultists that sort of sought fortification on this bridge here. They're basically decimated by the concentrated fire from the Inquisition here, so they're really becoming less and less of a factor. Moving across the board, there was a skirmish here between an Ogren and the priest and this group of Chaos here, and the Ogren finally fell along with the priest, so the Chaos forces victorious in that little skirmish there. Over this way there was a group of cultists that was just sitting there, and the concentrated fire from the Inquisition from these groups here basically took them out completely. So, but we also had a problem down here in that the Bloodthirster completely wrecked those the Inquisition unit with the shields. So they were hoping to tie this Bloodthirster up a little bit more than they did, but the Bloodthirster carved them up. So it's Chaos's turn next, and there's going to be some trouble here, I would say, with those Scions. They're going to get minced, I would say. But over this side of the board, yeah, look, Chaos look fairly strong there with the Cannon of Khorne. That's probably going to... Chaos might take that objective there. Over this side, while Chaos has got that at the moment, we've got some, heavy melee units here which will maybe take care of those cultists. There are some heavy bolters in there, so maybe since it's Chaos's turn next, they might do some damage there against the Dread Knight, but we'll have to wait and see. So a little bit early to call the game, but that's the end of the first half of turn 5. We've got second half coming up in a minute. That's the end of turn 5. Let's go and have a look and see what's happened. We've seen the Bloodthirster come charging out, and there was a unit of Scion somewhere under there, but that's not there any longer. So it took out the Scions. We had this unit of cultists charge in and try and contest this objective here and take out most of that unit there, so that is still contested at this stage. Over this side we had the unit of cultists which were in this bridge here, charged out and tried to tie up this Pentanet engine here. Didn't really do much on the way there. And also the Beastmen fired their weaponry and took out the Dread Knight which was there. So this unit's held by, this objective I should say, is held by Chaos. This one over here is looking very much in the hands of Chaos, perhaps. We've got one turn to go. Still could go any way. We've got the wounded Bloodthirster over there, and there's a lot of weaponry in those servitors and the Jagero at the back there. So once you've got concentrated fire from these guys, there's plasma weapons and all sorts of stuff in there. So maybe that can do some damage to the Bloodthirster. I imagine that those guys are going to try and take out that, which will still probably leave this area contested, but we've got one turn to go. We'll see what can happen. Okay, we've just done the first half of turn 6, and it's coming pretty clear who's going to be winning this battle. So looking at the table here, we've seen the Inquisitor, the Servitors and the Jagero, together with supporting fire here, take out the Bloodthirster. But over here on this objective, we've seen that Chaos have taken the upper hand and secured that. So being that the Inquisition aren't going to get another turn, you would say that that objective is in the hands of Chaos. Over here, there's not much else going on because there's hardly any models on the table now, but the Pentanet engine took out those cultists, turned around, I don't know why, because it's not really going to be able to do anything, but Chaos owned that objective as well. So both objectives at this stage really in the hands of Chaos. It's a matter of going through the motions. Looks like it's going to be a Chaos victory. We'll wait for one more half turn and then we'll call it. Well, that's it. That's the end of turn 6 and the end of the battle. No surprises there as far as who won. Got a Chaos victory, and let's have a look and see what the final board looks like. So in Chaos's last turn, we had this unit of cultists here. They did nothing, they just fired at the Inquisitor up there, not taking any casualties, but probably just firing their guns in the air, saying, "Yoo-hoo, we secure this objective, how awesome." We had the Cannon of Khorne fire and take out a Servitor up there. Over this side, we had the Beastmen just turn around. They've secured this position as well and fire at the Penitent Engine and not take any casualties. So overall, we've probably got an even weighting of what models are left on the board. For the Inquisition, we've got the engine, we've got a unit, a full-blown unit there, of plasma weapons and bolters, etc., etc. There we've got the Inquisitor and the Chikero and another Servitor there. So that's for the Inquisition side. For the other side, pretty well 3 units as well. We've got the Cannon of Khorne, Cultists, Beastmen. Overall, pretty even, but Chaos takes both objectives. So that's it for Battle 9. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week, and keep an eye out for Battle 10, which will probably follow down into that pit there. So thanks again for watching. See you next time.